My name is Adrian Cole. I'm 41 years old, and until a few months ago, I would have sworn my life was steady, predictable, even comfortable. I lived in a townhouse on the edge of Seattle, worked as a systems analyst for a logistics firm, and believed naively that love, once earned, stayed loyal. I thought loyalty was simple, chalked into the bones of a relationship like permanent ink. I thought the people who said otherwise were either unlucky or dramatic. I wasn't supposed to be one of them. I met Claire Daniels 6 years ago at a corporate training event. She was the keynote speaker, confident, quick-witted, the kind of woman who made you feel like the room dimmed a little when she walked in. We started talking afterward, and something about the way she listened made me feel chosen. We moved in together within a year. She said I was the calm she had been searching for. Maybe that should have been my first warning. The people looking for calm are often the ones who create storms. The beginning was good, better than good. We built routines, shared morning coffees, planned trips we never took but always talked about. Sundays were our thing. Grocery store runs, walking the waterfront, late dinners with cheap wine. She laughed easily then. I trusted her easily then. And I never imagined she would be capable of this. It started with small shifts, ones you only notice in hindsight. Longer work nights. A new perfume I didn't recognize. A sharper tone when she talked to me, like every sentence had to squeeze through irritation. She guarded her phone more. She changed passwords. She showered the moment she got home, something she never did before. I told myself she was stressed, overworked, tired. Denial is a warm blanket. A stupid one, but warmed up. The truth came quietly, without theatrics. One evening, I stopped by her office to surprise her with dinner. Innocent enough, right? But when I walked down the hallway, I heard her voice behind a half-closed conference room door. Soft, careful, not her professional voice, her intimate one. The tone she used with me before things started to crumble. She wasn't alone. A man's voice answered her, low, amused. I didn't catch the words. I didn't need to. Something in my chest pushed it hard enough to make my hands go numb. I didn't open the door. I didn't confront them. I didn't even move. I just stood there, absorbing the moment that would split my life into before and after. When she finally came home that night, she kissed my cheek and told me she was exhausted. Then she went straight to bed. I stood in the doorway and watched her sleep, wondering how long she'd been living two different lives. The next day, I didn't go to work. I sat on the balcony with my laptop and started digging. Her emails, her cloud backups, the synced data she forgot existed. Claire was smart, but she wasn't careful. Not with technology. Not with me. That was when I learned his name. Marcus Hale. 37, divorced, marketing director at her firm. Charming in that clean-cut, polished way that makes weak people feel stronger. Their messages went back months, photos, hotel confirmations, plans they joked about, conversations about me. About how predictable I was, how safe, how oblivious. Every sentence cut deeper than the last. But the strange thing is, I didn't feel anger at first. Just a cold, steady numbness settling into my skin like frost. Anger was too easy. This was something darker. By the third hour of reading their messages, a new thought crept in, quiet, sharp. I can burn both of their lives without ever raising my voice. Not a fantasy, not an impulse, a certainty, because they didn't just betray me. They underestimated me. And people who underestimate me always regret it. That night, Claire told me she loved me before falling asleep. I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, memorizing the sound of her breath, knowing she had no idea that everything she valued, her job, her reputation, her carefully curated world, was already starting to crack. And I hadn't even touched it yet. I didn't sleep the night after I found their messages. I stayed awake beside Claire, listening to her breathe like nothing in the world was wrong. She slept peacefully, comfortably, while the truth sat in my chest like a shard of glass I couldn't pull out. Around 5 a.m., she rolled over and tucked her head against my shoulder. Instinct told me to pull away, but I stayed still. Let her rest there. Let her feel safe. Let her believe I was still the same man she'd been lying to for months. That was the moment I realized something important. The most devastating revenge begins with silence. When she left for work, I watched from the window as she walked down the driveway, got into her car, and drove away. I waited exactly 3 minutes, just enough time for her to turn onto the main road before I sat at my desk and began the first stage. I needed information. Everything. Not just the messages I'd already seen. I needed to understand the full scope of their carelessness, and I knew exactly where to start. Claire had a work computer, a company-issued device with remote access software installed. Most employees never think about how vulnerable that makes them. But I do. I've built systems like that for years. I know every loophole, every crack in the structure. It took me less than 10 minutes to get in. Her inbox was worse than I expected. Not just romantic messages, strategic ones. Emails about financial reports, campaign budgets, unreleased client data. Things she wasn't supposed to discuss with Marcus. Things he wasn't supposed to see. The two of them were passing files back and forth like it was nothing, improper, unethical. The kind of thing that would get both of them fired, possibly blacklisted. And the best part, they didn't even hide it well. I downloaded everything. Every attachment, every email chain, every photo, every call log, every personal chat Claire had forgotten existed in her sensed folders. I stored it all on an encrypted drive and labeled the folder with a name that felt painfully accurate. Foundation of Lies. Halfway through sorting the evidence, I paused, not because I felt guilt, but because the realization hit me. They gave me every tool I needed to destroy them. Marcus was even stupider than Claire. His personal email was sent to his Google Drive, and apparently he used the same password for everything. An amateur mistake, a dangerous one. Within an hour I had access to his entire digital life. Photos with Claire, some taken in the conference room after hours, a video from a hotel in Portland, screenshots of their conversations mocking me, financial documents. He shouldn't have had, a half-written resignation letter he drafted in case things got complicated. By noon, I knew more about their affair than they did, but gathering evidence wasn't enough. Revenge isn't about chaos. It's about precision. I needed a plan, one that collapsed their personal lives, their careers, their trust in each other. One strike wouldn't be enough. They deserve something layered, something irreversible. So I broke it into pieces. Step 1. Destroy their relationship. Step 2. Ruin Marcus professionally. Step 3. Shatter Claire's reputation inside her firm. Step 4. Make them turn on each other. Step 5. Walk away and touch. To start step 1, I created a new email account using a fake name. No traceable IP, no personal data. Completely clean. Then I drafted a message addressed to Marcus. She's lying to you. Check her phone carefully. There's more she hasn't told you. A friend, no attachments yet. No details. Just enough to plant a seed. People in affairs distrust each other by default. A single whisper can split the ground between them. Next, I sent Claire a similar message. He's not who you think. Stop before you get hurt. Someone who knows me. The time Claire came home that evening, she was quieter, distracted. She kept glancing at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. She even tried to hide a call by walking into the bathroom. I knew exactly who she was talking to, and I knew exactly what they were saying. Silence between them. Tension. Accusations wrapped in calm voices. Good. Let the fractures start small. At dinner, Claire barely touched her food. She said she wasn't feeling well. I told her she should get some rest, that I'd clean up the dishes. She smiled weakly and thanked me. She had no clue she was thanking the man dismantling her life piece by piece. After she went to bed, I opened my laptop and prepared step 2. Marcus had a spotless career record, but not anymore. Not once. I uploaded the confidential files he had illegally accessed. comparing them with screenshots of his messages with Claire discussing private company data. I didn't send them yet. I wasn't rushing. The timing needed to be perfect. When I finished for the night, I stood by the bedroom door and watched Claire sleep again. She looked calm, innocent, fragile. It almost made me feel something. But then I remembered the conference room door. Her voice softened. Her laugh that wasn't for me anymore. Her messages, mocking my trust. And any remaining softness inside me turned to stone. This wasn't about heartbreak anymore. This was a dismantling. And I was just getting started. Claire left earlier than usual the next morning. She claimed she had an urgent client meeting, but I saw the way her hands trembled as she buttoned her blouse, the way she avoided looking at me for more than a second. She wasn't going to a meeting. She was going to Marcus. Perfect. That gave me the entire day. The first thing I did was open the audio file I'd captured the night before. Claire had whispered on the phone in the bathroom, thinking the closed door protected her. It didn't. I had connected my phone to the smart home system years ago. The microphone in the hallway caught everything. Her voice came through the speaker, raw and anxious. Marcus, someone knows. I'm serious. Someone sent me a message. Just be careful. He whispered back. It's probably your husband. He's not stupid. Good. Let him be afraid of me. Let him remember that I have never been stupid. Claire continued. No, he hasn't said anything. He's been calm. Too calm. That was the part that made me smile. When the recording ended, I closed the laptop and leaned back in my chair. I could feel the shape of the plan forming clearly now. The cracks between them were widening. Exactly at the pace I needed. But step 2 and step 3 required something more dramatic. Something personal. So I drove to Claire's office building. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. I'd memorized the building layout when she first started working there. The visitor's lot gave me a perfect angle of the floor-to-ceiling windows on the 3rd floor. Her department. I waited. After 30 minutes, movement caught my eye. Claire walked into the hallway with Marcus close behind her. He wasn't smiling. She wasn't either. Their body language said everything: tension, discomfort, suspicion. Good. Let them suffocate on it. Claire suddenly touched his arm, whispering something. Marcus pulled away. He looked around, paranoid, jumpy. Then he walked off, leaving her standing alone, frustrated and frightened. I did that, and they didn't even know my name was on the bullet. I left before she could return to her office. There was more to do. Back home, I sat down and opened the encrypted drive again. I selected 5 emails, just 5. The perfect ones. The ones where Claire sent in confidential files with the message, delete this after you read it, and don't use your work account. They monitor everything. I forwarded these 5 emails to the company's internal ethics address from an anonymous inbox. I didn't attach anything else. No context, no explanation. Just evidence. Not enough to ruin her outright. Enough to trigger suspicion. Enough to launch an investigation. Enough to make both of them sweat. Then I sent the same email word for word to Marcus's department head, and then I waited. At 2:17 p.m., Marcus called Claire. At 2:18 p.m., Claire called him back. At 2:22 p.m., they called each other again. Then again, and again. Panic is predictable. People in affairs think they're clever, but the moment pressure hits, they collapse into fear. When Claire got home that evening, her face looked tight, pale, stretched with stress. She didn't even take off her shoes. She just walked into the kitchen, bracing her weight on her hands against the counter. I walked in casually, acting surprised. "You okay?" I asked, pouring water into a glass. She jolted. Actually jolted. "I'm fine. Just a long day. Nonsense," I said softly. "You look terrible. What happened?" Her eyes searched mine carefully, as if she were trying to see whether I already knew. Then she forced a smile. "It's nothing. Just office politics." Interesting choice of words. I stepped closer, brushed a strand of hair from her face, and said, "It'll pass. It always does." The gentleness disarmed her. I could see it in her shoulders. She didn't know whether I was a threat or a comfort. That confusion was exactly where I wanted her. After dinner, she claimed she needed to review reports. In reality, she texted Marcus nonstop. He didn't reply. He was too busy trying to straighten out the exploding firestorm at his office when I had lit for him with surgical precision. On midnight, Claire finally broke and whispered into her phone, "Marcus, please pick up. They know. Someone said everything." I turned over in bed, facing away so she wouldn't see me smile, because that was the moment she realized the truth. Whatever was happening, whoever was doing this, they were close, very close. But part 3 was only the beginning. Tomorrow, I would take step 4. And that one? Claire barely slept. I could feel it in the way she lay beside me, rigid, tense, coiled like a wire about to snap. Every time her phone buzzed on the nightstand, she flinched. Marcus still wasn't answering. Perfect. At 6:40 a.m., she finally gave up pretending to sleep. She slipped out of bed slowly, tiptoeing the way a guilty person does. She thought she was being quiet. She wasn't. I waited until she went downstairs, then followed her silently. In the kitchen, she stood by the window, phone pressed to her ear. "Marcus, call me back. Please, this isn't funny anymore. They're asking questions. They know something." She froze. The call connected. I stayed in the hallway out of sight, listening. Marcus's voice was low, sharp, panicked. "Claire, you need to calm down. They questioned me for 2 hours. 2 hours. Someone sent them copies of our emails." Claire whispered back, "I told you someone was watching us. I told you. You said it was impossible." He exhaled loudly. "We need to stop talking for a while. It's too risky." There was a long silence. Then Claire's voice cracked. "So you're abandoning me now?" Marcus didn't answer immediately. When he did, his voice shook with something between anger and fear. "Don't call this number again." The line went dead. Claire stood there frozen, staring at her phone like she couldn't understand what had just happened. But I understood. I had just isolated her. Isolation breaks people faster than rage ever could. When she finally sat at the table, both hands covering her face, I walked in as if I'd heard nothing. "You're up early," I said casually. She didn't look up. "Yeah, I just have things on my mind. Anything I can help with?" Her eyes flicked up to mine, wet, terrified, searching. For a second, just a second, she looked like she wanted to tell me everything, but instead she forced a smile. "No, it's fine, really." Of course she couldn't tell me. She was cheating, and she was trapped. I made breakfast for both of us, acting normal, acting warm, acting supportive. The more stable I seemed, the more unstable she became. At work, things escalated even faster. By noon, Claire was called into HR. By 12:18, she stepped up to call Marcus again. By 12:20, she realized he had blocked her. She didn't know I was across the street in my car, watching her through the office windows as she spiraled alone. I didn't need to do anything. Not yet. Fear was doing the work for me, but step 4 required a push, a very specific push. So while she was in her HR meeting, I sent a message from the same anonymous inbox. He told them everything. "You should tell your husband before he finds out." Another way. No signature. No explanation. Just gasoline. At 3:47 p.m., she finally called me. Her voice was shaking. "Hey, are you busy?" "A bit," I answered calmly. "What's wrong?" "We need to talk." "Tonight?" "Important." I made my voice soft, steady. "Of course. I'll be home." That was step 4. Get her terrified enough to confess partially. Not everything, just enough. She needed to believe she was saving herself. When she came home that evening, she stood at the entrance like she didn't belong in her own house. Her hands were trembling. Her face looked hollow. "I need to tell you something," she whispered. I closed my laptop slowly. "Okay," I said. "I'm listening." She swallowed hard, eyes darting everywhere except at me. "There was a misunderstanding at work," she began. "Someone sent HR a few emails that made things look bad. Between me and a colleague." "A colleague?" I repeated softly. She nodded too quickly. It wasn't what it looked like. It was just professional conversations taken out of context. But someone is clearly trying to sabotage me. I leaned back, keeping my face unreadable. Why would someone try to sabotage you, Claire? She forced a laugh. I don't know. Jealousy, office politics. I really don't know. And then she said the part I had been waiting for, but I need you to believe me. I slowly stood up, walked toward her, and looked her straight in the eyes. Claire, if there's anything you're not telling me, you need to say it now. Her breath caught. For a moment, guilt flashed across her face so brightly it was almost beautiful. But she shook her head. No, there's nothing else. Double quotes liar. She thought she was protecting herself. Really, she was tightening the noose. I stepped back, pretending to accept it. Okay, I said gently. I trust you. Those 4 words shattered her more than screaming ever could. I saw at the way her eyes filled, the way her jaw trembled, the way relief mixed with shame until she couldn't breathe. She went upstairs and cried quietly in the bathroom for nearly an hour. She thought she had survived the worst, but she didn't know the truth. Claire barely spoke to me the next day. She moved through the house like a ghost, soft footsteps, lowered head, eyes swollen from crying. Every time I walked into a room, she flinched slightly, like the truth was pressing on her spine and she couldn't straighten under its weight. Good. Guilt was softening her. Fear was shaping her. And now she was ready to break. Step 5 required only one thing. Final strike delivered at the exact moment she believed she had survived. That moment arrived at 4:12 p.m. I received an email from Claire's HR. Departmenta forwarded. Message. The investigation had expanded, not only into Claire and Marcus's emails but into their deleted exchanges, their shared documents, and their private drive activity. They had pulled everything I had fed them, everything they thought they had erased, everything they had whispered to each other and stolen. Trembling messages. By 4:30, Marcus's company laptop was confiscated. The IT department mirrored his hard drive. They found all the confidential files he wasn't supposed to have. By 4:42, he was escorted out of the building. By 4:49, Claire received a message asking her to stay late for a follow-up conversation. At 4:51, she texted me, "Can we talk tonight? I'm really scared." I stared at the message for a moment, then replied, "Of course." She needed to believe I was her anchor, the only person she could still rely on, the only person who hadn't abandoned her. She didn't know she was already drowning. When she came home that evening, she looked wrecked, makeup smudged, hair tied back messily, skin pale and tight. She sat on the couch and buried her face in her hands. "I think I might lose my job," she whispered. "Why?" I asked calmly. She hesitated. A long, trembling hesitation. "I told you. Someone sent things, emails, but now they're saying they recovered more files. They're calling it a serious breach. They think I shared things I shouldn't have." I stared at her coldly. "And did you?" She froze. Her fingers curled into her palms. "No," she lied softly. "Of course not." I let the silence stretch until it hurt. "Claire," I said, voice slow, measured, deadly quiet. "Look at me." She lifted her head, eyes glossy and terrified. "This is your last chance." I said, "Tell me the truth." Her lip trembled, her throat tightened, but she still shook her head. "I didn't do anything wrong." That was her final lie, the one that sealed everything. I stood up, walked to the dresser, opened the drawer. And took out the envelope I had prepared 2 days earlier. Thick, heavy, filled with printed messages, photos, emails, hotel receipts, everything she thought she had hidden in a world behind closed doors. When she saw it in my hands, color drained from her face. "Daniel," she whispered. What is that?" I placed it gently on the table. "Open it," I said. She didn't move. "Claire," my voice cut through the room. "Open it." She reached forward with shaking hands and slid the papers out. Her eyes moved across the first page, then the second, then the third. Her breathing turned shallow, broken. No. "How did you, Daniel?" How did you? She dropped the papers, pressing both hands to her mouth as she collapsed backward into the couch, sobs shattering out of her like her ribs were cracking from the inside. I didn't want to hurt you, she choked out. I was confused. It didn't mean. I cut her off. Stop, she sobbed harder. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Please, please just talk to me. I looked at her the way you look at a stranger who bumps into you on the street. Indifferent, distant. Done, Claire, I said quietly. I'm not here to fix this. She froze. I'm here to end it. Her face twisted in pure panic. Daniel, please. I took out another envelope. This one thinner. Divorce papers. I placed them beside the evidence. You will sign these, I said. Tonight. She shook her head violently. No, no, please, please don't do this. We can fix. Sign them. I repeated. Or I will send everything to your entire staff, the board, your parents, and every mutual friend we have. She went silent. Completely. Her grief folded inward. Swallowed by terror. She signed. Her hand shook so badly the letters trembled across the page. When she finished, she whispered, Do you still love me? I paused. That was the one question she should have never asked. I picked up the papers, straightened them, and said, I did, until you taught me not to. I walked to the door. She didn't follow. She didn't call after me. She just sat there, crumpled around her own choices, around the ruin she'd built with her own hands. As I stepped outside, I finally felt something I hadn't felt in months. Air. Clean, cold air. Freedom. And as I walked away from the house, our house, now just a shell, I whispered the final truth she would never hear. This wasn't revenge. This was justice.